Ever wonder how a single voicemail, left by a total stranger, could detonate your entire life? I was standing in my kitchen on a rainy Chicago Tuesday, the skyline a blur of gray outside our Lincoln Park apartment, when my phone buzzed. It wasn't my wife, Jessica, calling. It was a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. A man's voice, smug and breathless, said, "Hey babe, last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about that mole on your back. Call me when you ditch your husband." My blood ran cold. The man on the phone described a very specific, tiny mole on my wife's left shoulder blade. A mole I had traced with my finger 1,000 times. Suddenly, our 10-year marriage felt like a lie, and I realized a war had just been declared, but only one of us knew it had started. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The voicemail was a mistake. He must have thought he was calling Jessica's number. I listened to it again and again, each word a nail hammering into the coffin of the life I thought I had. The man's name was Mark, I learned later. I saved the voicemail, a digital ghost that would haunt me and eventually become my most powerful weapon. At first, I was just numb. Jessica, my vibrant, ambitious wife, the woman who ran marathons and quoted poetry, was a stranger. That night, she came home late from a work dinner, smelling faintly of a cologne that wasn't mine. She kissed me, a quick, dismissive peck on the cheek, and I had to fight the urge to physically recoil. "Tough day, sweetie," she sighed, throwing her expensive coat over a chair. I just nodded, a hollow pit forming in my stomach. The humiliation was a physical ache, a constant pressure behind my eyes. I pictured her with this man, Mark, laughing, touching, sharing secrets that were once ours. I felt like the world's biggest fool. Her behavior had been strange for months, but I'd dismissed it. Late nights at the office became more frequent, business trips on weekends. Her phone, once left casually on the counter, was now glued to her hand or flipped face down. She'd take calls in the other room, her voice a low murmur. When I'd ask who it was, she'd wave a dismissive hand. "Just work, honey. You wouldn't understand." The condescension in her tone was new. She started criticizing me, more my clothes, my job as an architect, my friends. She made me feel small, inadequate. It was a slow, deliberate campaign to create distance, and I'd been too blind to see it. Now, with the voicemail as my guide, the puzzle pieces started clicking into place. The credit card bill with a charge from the Peninsula Hotel on a night she was supposedly at a conference in Milwaukee. The new lingerie I'd never seen. The sudden obsession with a fitness class across town she'd never mentioned before. Each discovery was a fresh stab of betrayal. The slow burn of discovery was agonizing. I became a detective in my own home. One evening, she left her laptop open. A chat window was minimized. My hands trembled as I clicked it open. It was a conversation with a contact named M. The messages were explicit, filled with plans for their next secret meeting and cruel jokes at my expense. They called me the ball and chain. They mocked my predictability, my loyalty. "Never suspect a thing," she wrote. "He trusts me too much. It's almost sad." Reading those words, I felt a part of me die. The love I had for her curdled into something cold and hard. Jessica became a master manipulator. She'd gaslight me, making me feel crazy for questioning her. "Why are you so insecure lately?" she'd ask, her eyes wide with fake innocence. "Don't you trust me?" The villains, Jessica and Mark, felt untouchable. They moved through their affair with an arrogance that was breathtaking, confident in my ignorance. The breaking point came one rainy Thursday. I was driving home from a site visit, listening to a playlist she'd made for me years ago, full of our songs. The raw emotion of it all hit me at once. I had to pull over on Lakeshore Drive, the waves of Lake Michigan crashing violently against the shore. I just sat there, my hands gripping the steering wheel, and I broke down. Not just tears, but deep, gut-trenching sobs. The grief, the rage, the humiliation, it all poured out of me. I wasn't just losing my wife, I was losing my past, my future, my sense of self. In that moment, staring at the stormy water, the man who loved Jessica died. He was replaced by someone else, someone colder, more calculating. The sadness was still there, but now it was fuel. My tears dried, and a chilling clarity took over. Revenge wouldn't be loud or angry. It would be silent, precise, and absolute. From that day on, I played the part of the devoted, slightly clueless husband. But secretly, I was gathering my arsenal. I installed recovery software on our shared home computer, retrieving deleted emails and chats. I placed a GPS tracker in her car. I hired a private investigator who provided me with higher-resolution photos of Jessica and Mark, holding hands as they walked into a boutique hotel, kissing in a dimly lit bar. The PI also uncovered that Mark was a partner at a rival architectural firm, a man I'd met at industry events. He was married with 2 kids. The hypocrisy was astounding. Every piece of evidence was meticulously copied, backed up on multiple drives, and stored securely. I also started consulting with a top divorce attorney, the best in Chicago. We planned every step. I quietly moved my assets into a protected trust. I documented every lie she told me, cross-referencing her stories with the GPS data and the investigator's reports. My life became a chess match, and I was positioning my pieces for a checkmate she would never see coming. The trap was set. Jessica's birthday was approaching, and she wanted a huge party at our apartment to celebrate with all our friends and family. It was the perfect stage. Her parents were flying in, my parents were coming, all our mutual friends, her work colleagues. "I want it to be a night to remember," she said, smiling that dazzling false smile. "Oh, it will be," I replied, my voice calm, my heart pounding a steady cold rhythm. The day of the party, I was the perfect host. I smiled, I mingled, I poured drinks. Mark was there, of course. He shook my hand, a smug look in his eyes, and said, "You're a lucky man, John." I just smiled back, "I know." The moment came after the cake. I dimmed the lights for a special birthday slideshow I had prepared. I had told everyone it was a nostalgic look back at our life together. The big screen TV flickered to life. The slideshow began innocently enough. Pictures of our wedding, our travels, happy memories. Jessica squeezed my hand. Then the screen went black. The smug, breathless voice from the voicemail filled the silent room. "Hey babe, last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about that mole on your back." A collective gasp went through the crowd. Jessica's face went white. Before she could react, the first photo from the private investigator appeared on the screen. Jessica and Mark, kissing passionately outside the peninsula. Then another, and another. Chat logs scrolled across the screen, their cruel words about me displayed for everyone to see. Her parents stared in horror. Her boss's jaw was on the floor. Mark's face was a mask of pure panic. I turned to Jessica, my voice devoid of all emotion. "Happy birthday, Jessica. I believe you know Mark." The room erupted into chaos. Jessica just stood there, completely exposed, her perfect world crumbling into dust around her. Her ruin was swift and total. Her parents were ashamed. Her friends were disgusted. Mark's wife, who I'd anonymously sent a package of evidence to that morning, had already kicked him out. His career was in jeopardy after his firm learned he was having an affair with a key contact at a client's company. The divorce was a formality. Thanks to the prenuptial agreement she arrogantly insisted on and the mountain of evidence of her infidelity, she walked away with almost nothing. She lost her friends, her reputation, her financial security. She lost everything because she underestimated the man she called the ball and chain. The last I heard, she was working a low-level admin job and living in a small apartment in a suburb she used to make fun of. The silence in my apartment now is different. It's no longer the silence of suspicion, but the silence of emptiness. I won, destroyed her. But as I stand here in the quiet, looking out at the same Chicago skyline, I can't help but feel the chill. Vengeance is a hollow victory, and its echo is the only thing that keeps me company now. The house is clean, but it will never feel clean again. The end.